Hello sweet friends, this is Gina. Welcome to the Rebookery channel. Today I am going to do a flip through of my journal that I've been working in through the Finding Your Style 2, and I have fallen in love with this journal. I have fallen in love with this journal so much that I actually made a batch of these journals, and I'm going to list these journals in my shop on Friday, and that is going to be Friday the 30th of August, and it will be at 7:00 p.m. Central Time. So let me do this one first, and I'll talk to you about the things I love about this journal, and then I'll show you the ones that will be in my shop. So my inspiration for this journal was, one, using up some of my old artwork. Two, using up some of my papers that we just played with as we were doing Finding Your Style and just trying to figure out what kind of art I really like to do. And the third influence on this journal was being able to get that feel that I got with composition notebook journals. And I loved when I used to have composition notebook journals. It was before I started making my own journals. And there was just something about the simplicity of having a one signature book. And I love the soft cover books. I don't know that I'll ever go back to a hardback book again because I love using the soft cover books so much. They just feel so good in my hands, and they just really they weather well, meaning as the book gets thicker and thicker, my soft spine journals just seem to grow with them, and they don't get bulky and hard to carry as much as a hardbound journal does. So again, this is totally my preference, so you may like hardbound journals, but this one that I made is softbound, and the 10 that I'm going to put in my shop are also softbound. So here are some spreads that I have been working on, and these have not had a lot of attention given to them just because I started school a couple of weeks ago, and so my time has been taken up with my babies at school. And for those of you guys that have wished me well, thank you so much. It has been a great year. It has been off to a wonderful start, and I am truly enjoying teaching this year, and I'm just, yeah, it's awesome. I love starting a year off and really connecting with my kids and really digging into the curriculum and just getting them going with investigations and, you know, figuring out that they can be a scientist and things like that. So that's kind of what I've had going on. I know I wasn't going to open my shop back up until October. However, I've had such a great response with Finding Your Style 2 that I felt like I needed to open up the shop just to kind of put some things out there if people were interested in wanting to further their stash for their journaling. So I did the binders last weekend, and I have a couple of the binders left. And then I have 2 binders left. And then this weekend I'm gonna do these journals that I've worked on, and I still need to bind them. I haven't bound them yet. And that's okay because I wanted to show you guys what the covers look like before I actually bind them. So this journal, you can see I've been doing some stuff in it, not too much, but there's just been a lot of play, and sometimes I'll just get it and I'll doodle on the cover. But yeah, I am just super loving this journal. Again, I can't wait to fill it up so that I can make another one. So having this made me really dig through my artwork, because that's what this was made from. The covers are made from some old artwork that I backed together, and then I put in a spine. And again, you can watch Finding Your Style 2 episode 9 to see the details of that. So I went through and I found some of my other artwork that I had done the same thing with, and I was able to piece together 10 different covers using artwork. It would be a piece on the front, piece on the inside front, a piece on the back, and then a piece on the outside back. So let me show you what I have. All right, so this is one of the journals that I will have for sale in my shop on Friday. And I think what I will do is let me show you the insides first, because the insides will be the same for all the journals. It'll just be different colors or different patterns, but the pages are all the same. And then I'll go through and I'll show you all 10 covers. Now this is an interesting page here. I stumbled across an old giant coloring book at an estate sale, and I actually got 2 of them, and they have been used as pages in journals. So this was the last of my pages, and I think these were storybook pages, and they're nice heavy cardstock, and so I had just enough left. I had 10 left, and so they are included in the book. One of the journals actually has the cover to the coloring book, so they don't actually have the actual coloring book page. There is the cover to the coloring book, and I'll see if I can find it, so I'll show you what one it is. Map pages, graph paper, some paper from an atlas, more graph paper or grid office paper, 1980s calendars, storybook paper. This is just some artwork that I stitched together, and it already has gesso on it, so it's ready to go if you wanted to add paint. This is some of my big paper, and I folded it together, stitched it together, and I made a top pocket, so I'll put something in this pocket. More paper from the atlas, and I love these colors. This is some of my letterhead paper, and I put this in every journal I make, and let me show you why I love this paper so much. So I stuck a page of it in this journal, and I've been saving it because there's something about this paper. It almost feels like, if you have one of my journals and you have this paper, it almost feels like parchment. To me, that's kind of what it feels like. It's not smooth like copy paper, but it's more, there's some tooth to it, but it's not heavy like cardstock. I don't know what this paper is, but I am in love with it. So I sat down one day and I was doodling, and this is what it did with watercolor, and I was blown away because that is awesome. It doesn't, the paper doesn't pill, and it doesn't like deteriorate the paper. Like sometimes with watercolor, if you go over it too much, it'll start to rip the paper. It didn't do that with this, and it held up really well. I was able to do pen and colored pencil and stickers, but then check this out. I also did some Sharpie, and I don't know if you guys can see, but the Sharpie, if you can, and I don't think you all can see, but I did Sharpie on it, and the Sharpie didn't seem to bleed through, which blew my mind because I would not have thought that Sharpie would have, you know, stayed on one side. So let me try it, and let me just see if that is, in fact, for real. So let's go. Okay, so there's Sharpie. Let's see what it did. Yeah, I mean, I can see a little bleed through where I pushed really heavy on the Sharpie, but this paper is awesome. I am in love with this paper. So I put a piece of this paper in there. And now that I had it in my journal, I love it even more. Like, I got a whole box at an estate sale, and now I wish I had like 3 boxes. Okay, so back to this. So there's some of that letterhead paper, another piece of calendar paper. This is some old draft paper, and I believe that this is tracing paper. So I have draft paper and tracing paper, and so this was some tracing paper that went with it. This is another one of those gigantic Phillips 66 papers, folded in half, stitched it, and this time I made side pockets. This is a page that's got a really cool texture to it, and this is from a needlepoint book. This is a page from a children's book, and then in the center I have a big piece of wallpaper that I have folded and made a pocket, so there's 2 pockets. But what I did is I folded the wallpaper on the inside so that you have all this white space to do your art. So then go back this way, so it's stitched, the pocket again. This is that tracing paper. I just have a doily it's sewn to it. Calendar paper, the letterhead paper, atlas paper, more of that Phillips 66 paper, just some artwork I had lying around that I stitched together. This would make a great background, or it could just be a piece of interest for something for you to do on these pages. Storybook page, calendar page, the grid paper or the graph paper with a nice thick, and this is huge, flashcard attached to it. Atlas paper, graph paper, map paper, the coloring book paper, and then check this out. So this was the very first page. So it is a piece of scrapbook paper, and then it is sewn to some white, and it's not copy paper. It was considered mixed media paper, but it doesn't have a tooth to it, so I don't know how well it takes paint, but it is a little bit thicker than regular copy paper. So I sewed that, and it folds out. But then on this side, I took a vintage hanky and I sewed it in as a pocket. So you would have a pocket on this side and a pocket on this side. And I used a different vintage hanky for every 2 journals. So I cut the hanky in half. So the other half of the journal, or the other half of the hanky, is in another journal. And then I found, like, you know, 4 different hankies to do. So you could just tuck stuff in that hanky, and that's kind of cool. So then that's the signatures. And I believe I'm sitting at about 18 pages, which is what I have in mine. I have 18, so then that's times 2, so that would be 36. So 36 pages altogether, plus fronts and backs, would turn out to be 36 times 2, 72. So you'd end up with 72 fronts and backs. That is plenty of room in a journal, especially when it's a 1 signature journal. And like I said, with this being fabric or soft spine, it's gonna like grow with you. The journal will not get as bulky as like a hardbound journal. So that's the signatures. And then let me show you the covers. So here's this one. And I found this really cool fabric. It's fish. It's vintage. I don't know how old it is. And this is like a denim fabric. So this is like a denim fish fabric. There's just lots of art. Some of this art I did in 2013. Some of it was 2014. Some of it was 2012. It's just artwork that I've done and I've had for a while, and I made them into covers. This is cool because this was from my grandma when she went to college, and so it says 1937. This was something that some ephemera she had, and I stuck that in that journal. So there's that one. Here's this one. It says one after another. This one I actually dated. So this was December 1st, 2013. And this one has a corduroy spine. You can see the artwork back here. I did some stitching. And then the inside looks like this. This is textured because this is like modeling paste. And then just lots of different papers that have been collaged and stitched, and then some fun fabric. Here is this one. It doesn't really have a title, but this is just a lot of collage, some fabric, again with the corduroy spine, some pieces of mail, stamp. Then this is paint with some inks on it, a stamp. This is a flower that I hand cut, and then this is some ribbon that I stapled on. This one's very bright, so you can see all the bright colors, lots of collage, lots of paint. I stuck this was some sort of a scrapbooking piece of ephemera. I stuck that on there. Fortune cookie. This is some hearts and some different collage I've done. And then the inside of this one is bright, lots of paint. And some torn paper here, lots of pink paint. I think there's even like some Sunday comics back behind there. This was a piece of art that I hadn't really finished. And so rather than finish it with paper, I finished it with fabric. So I took some strips of some nursery rhyme fabric and I messy stitched those on. This is a quilt piece, just a circle that I stitched on, and then some little fabric bits, and then an old ticket. So this is the back cover where I've just done some collage and some paint. And then on the inside of this one, just some book pages, some paint, some scissors and hearts. Like this was a die cut from a scrapbook company. And some cool fabric. I love this fabric. So I like this one a lot. This one is kind of cool because you can do what you want with this one. So here's the front, lots of collage and paint, a little bit of transfer, tape transfer, and some old lace. And then here's the back, and this is some, again, modeling paste, so this is like textured. But then on the inside it's kind of blank. All I did was just play around with some flower stamps and a little bit of ink. So this would be totally ready for you to put a lot of your artwork. This one's kind of cool because this was just a total mishmash. So it's got a book page, like a cover of an old book called Lolly Lamb. And so it's got a few of those pieces there, some old Dick and Jane book paper, and then some old letters. And this is like an old hanky here. And then over on this side, I was pulling from some old magazines. So this little phrase, I liked that. Some handmade paper. And then if you open it up and flip it on the inside, for whatever reason, I was going with a clown theme on this side when I made this piece. And so there's just lots of circus and clown things. And I found this text, complete set of clowns for your child, which I thought was kind of cool. And then I love this girl. Love, love, love this girl. I got her out of a magazine, an old 1970s magazine. And then for whatever reason, the number 7, I have some number 7s on there. So yeah, this one's really cute too. It's kind of interesting because it's a little bit interactive. So here's the front. It's a piece that I have done lots of different layers. So there's some writing and then some paint and some scribbling and some collage. And then I did lots of messy stitches on my sewing machine that doesn't have the feed dogs on it, so I can like do all this freestyle stitching. So I've just got some loop-de-loos here, and then this is the corduroy spine. But then on this side, this is just some paint and ink that I played around with, and I flipped it over. So there's a piece of some paint and stuff on this side, but this side I covered with some calendar paper. And I left that little hole, and I found this cute little plastic bag. And so in this plastic bag, it's been sewn in except for this edge right here. And I tied this edge with just a simple knot. So you could undo this. And I just used some more of that nursery rhyme fabric. And you can open this up. Maybe. It's like heavy duty here. And then you can switch this out. So if you don't want to keep this cool little butterfly, you don't have to keep the butterfly. You can put whatever you want in there. You can put sequins in there. You could put a picture in there. But I just thought this butterfly was kind of cool, and so I stuck it in there. But it's just a little Ziploc type of baggie, so you could easily switch out whatever's in there and make it your own. And then this down here is just some wallpaper, and then lots of fun trim, some book pages, and things like that. So yeah, that one's kind of cool. And I like that you can see through that. This one I had to do quite a bit of work to because I was not feeling the love on the original artwork that was here. So I ended up and I covered it over. So there's like 3 pieces of art on this cover. I completely covered it up with a whole different paper. And then once I did that, I did some stitching, and then I just added this little piece from a dictionary. So here's the fish denim spine again. I liked the back, and this is actually some old book cloth, like really old. I think I had to use my own glue because it wouldn't stick, but this is some old book cloth, so that's like really sturdy. And then on the inside, oh, here's some cool, like a wool, piece of a wool sweater there. And then on the inside, this was just kind of, I don't even know what I was doing here, but I was just stitching these little pieces of scrap paper in, and I don't know, just kind of cool. I don't even realize what the background is. Well, it was something from a photo lab, like an old time photo lab where you used to drop off your photos. And then over here, I don't know why, but I have all these little cat stickers, and there's like a sun. So yeah, and then Hello Kitty. So it's just kind of a crazy mishmash, but I do like how it turned out. I love the blue, like the blue, blue, and blue. I thought that was kind of cool. And then here is the last one. So the last one is this cool piece of book page that has a bunch of paint on it, and then I made this little pocket right here. Love that trim and that fabric. Here is a piece of art that has some of that modeling paste again, so it's going to be textured. And then on the inside, over here's just some paint, some of this that's like drywall tape, and it's got dots and stuff on it, so I did a lot of painting and just playing around. This is like just an envelope, but it's not an envelope that you can tuck anything in because it's kind of adhered down there, but it's just kind of a cool little piece of interest. some fun fabric. And then over here, I was just kind of doing birds. I don't even know why, but there's just kind of some birds over here. And then this piece of fabric in the center, and then there's the back. So yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there are 10. And so just like I had said, one of the journals actually has the front cover to the storybook coloring book. And so it's this one right here, the one that says one after another. And I'll show you what it looks like. Whoops. So it looks like this, and it is thick just like the rest of them. And instead of having one big coloring book scene, it's got all these smaller ones, and then the back is blank. And then here's the hanky that goes in that journal, the brown. I thought the brown looked really pretty. So there you go. There are 10 new, and I'm going to call these junky art journals, because they're kind of junk journals, but they are using junk, but then they're also art journals because I left a lot of white space and a lot of papers in here for you to do a lot of playing around with paints and inks and collage, and just really have fun with all the different things that you picked up while you were watching Finding Your Style 2. I do have a process video, and I also have Finding Your Style 2 episode 10, the very last one, where we kind of come up with some ideas of what to use all this artwork for, and watch for those videos because they will be coming out sometime next week. Okay, my friends, so here we go. 10 of these junky art journals in my shop on Friday, August 30th at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I hope you are healthy. I hope you are happy. I hope you do something creative today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.